Shalom. Call Halal Yahweh Bashem Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to the 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth. Among the heathen that look like the heathen, the Israelite foreigners, right? And to those of the elect who do this work, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone, just coming at you with a quick lesson. And it's going to talk about the omitted history of the Grecian Empire. And Elder Yashawamba mentions that all the time. You just can't omit or the Grecian history and expect to understand the Bible, right? You can't just go from the Old Testament captivities and then jump straight to the Roman captivity and then know nothing about the Greek. Hence the reason why the Bible Destruction Group removed the Apocrypha, all right? They removed the Apocrypha because it clearly identifies the Romans and the Grecians as being Edomites, all right? They took over Europe. They took over Rome, all right? And that history is in the book. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Maccabees, all right? And I'm reading from the version that you see on the Bible, so it reads a little bit differently from the King James, all right? So here in chapter 1, first Maccabees, all right? And the thing is if you go read the Maccabees, it matches up with secular history, with all the, especially when you understand the scriptures. When you read in the Apocrypha, when you read Ezra's, second Ezra's, the 11th and 12th chapter, it lines up perfectly with the history from the first sieges of Rome all the way up until the fall of Rome, when Rome became the Holy Roman Empire and was no longer the pagan Roman Empire, right? All the way up until what the Negro, what they the Negro emperors, which they will fraudulently say the African emperors. They'll say that and they weren't Africans, they were Israelites. So to hide all this history, you just remove the book, because if you search for it, you can actually find that history. All right, and they'll try to say, and when they finally admit it, they'll tell you, they'll try to call them Africans, and they weren't Africans. All right, but this is First Maccabees, the first chapter, and starting at the first verse, and it reads, "And after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came from the land of Kittim, had defeated Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, he succeeded him as king. He had grievously become the king of Greece." All right. So he left out the point when it says the first in his stock, in his race. So basically, Alexander became the first Edomite, all right, to become a king of anything. All right. This is why they uphold him, because the Edomites actually got a grip and control in the world through Alexander. All right. And Alexander can be traced back through his father, back to Esau, Edom, back to Amalek. On top of that, all right. But it reads, "He fought many battles, conquered strongholds, and put to death the kings of the earth. He advanced to the ends of the earth and plundered many nations. When the earth became quiet before him, he was exalted." So he went all throughout. We can pull up the map here. Here's my little map of Europe. All right, all in the yellow there, and all the red is Asia. So Saudi Arabia, Israel, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, all these parts of Asia. You notice there's because there's nothing about, it says nothing about the Middle East in the Bible either. That's something that they made up. But Iran, Kazakhstan, India, Pakistan, Mongolia, Russia, Serbia, Thailand, Indonesia, Japan, all these places over here. All right, that's all of Asia. He conquered all of Asia, all of Europe, and most of North Africa. All right. So pretty much the whole known world. He didn't really go south in Africa. It probably got too hot. It's like the hell with that. He wasn't crossing no deserts. But it says he fought many battles and conquered strongholds and put to death the kings of the earth. He advanced to the ends of the earth and plundered many nations. When the earth became quiet before him, he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. He gathered a very strong army and ruled over countries, nations, and princes, and they became tributaries to him. And after he fell sick and perceived that he was dying, he summoned his most honored officers who had been brought up with him from youth and divided his kingdom among them while he was still alive. All right. And after Alexander had reigned 12 years, he died. And all right, his four generals. All right. Was Lysimaeus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Demetrius, I believe. All right. But nevertheless, his four generals. And but then what did they do when he died? They started infighting. All right, and they cutthroating each other because he set them up over different parts of the map that I just showed you. All right, Ptolemy got set up basically over Western Asia, which is fraudulently and falsely called the Middle East today. All right, that is where Ptolemy was pretty much ruling, and then the ones up here in Rome, they all set up in different places, but Ptolemy got the land of Israel and that area right there, connecting West Asia to Africa. All right. Yeah, notice there is no such thing as a Middle East. All right. That's a fabrication, a lie that they made up to control the narrative. But it says, then his officers began to rule, each one in his own place. They all put on crowns after his death, and they killed his sons too to make sure he had no heirs. They killed his son, and so did their sons after them many years, and they caused many evils on the earth. So evil came into the earth when the Edomites came into rulership. All right, it didn't call, it literally evil came into the earth. All right, the wicked acts. Okay, verse 10. From them came forth a sinful root. All right, Antiochus Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, had been Ahasuerus in Rome. So it goes and it gives you the whole history. So they started fighting amongst each other, the Edomites. All right, and the Romans were Edomites too. But we go to verse 11. And it says, in those days, lawless men came forth from Israel and misled many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the Gentiles round about us. For since we separated from them, many evils have come upon us. This proposal pleased them, and some of the people eagerly went to the king. They were the 2/3, of course. And he authorized them to observe the ordinances of the Gentiles. So they built a gymnasium in Jerusalem according to the Gentile custom, and removed the marks of circumcision and abandoned the holy covenant and joined with the Gentiles and sold themselves to do evil. All right. Hence the reason why when you get to the parts of the Bible when it says there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek. All right. It's talking about Israelites. As a matter of fact, let's go into King James and read Acts 2:21. I'm tempted to read it in this book, but I'll be faster. Shoot, I thought I'd be faster. The thing was slow loading. So I don't want to lose these pages that I got. This is Acts 2:21. And it reads, and it shall come to pass. Let me put that in green. I highlight all the Israelite scriptures in the green. It says, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. All right? Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yahushua of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. All right, when you go up, okay, to verse 5, it says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem devout Jews or Judeans, all right, devout men from every nation under heaven. When you go to 9, it says, the Parthians and the Medes and the Elamites and the dwellers of Mesopotamia and Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, and Asia, all right, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, and and the parts of Libya and Cyrene, strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues and wonderful works. And now all those areas can be seen on this map. Mainly those in West Asia, which they falsely and fraudulently call the Middle East. All right. And some parts of Europe as well, and some parts of Africa. So the Israelites were all over the place, and they were coming back. So it was Israelites that were coming back for the Pentecost, not Gentiles. All right. And you also have to take into consideration the 400 years of Hellenization of the Israelites. As a matter of fact, of the southern kingdom, basically the kingdom of Judah, which was made up of Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. But back in the book of Maccabees, in the book on the screen, in the Oxford Revised Anointed Bible with Apocrypha, I'm going to jump up to 1 Maccabees 1:41. And it reads, "Then the king wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and that each should give up his customs. All the Gentiles accepted the command of the king. Many even from Israel gladly adopted his religion." Right? So the Israelites sacrificed to idols, and it says they sacrificed to idols and profaned the Sabbath. And he sent letters by messengers to Jerusalem and to the cities of Judah. He directed them to follow the customs of the strange to the land, to forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the sanctuary, to profane the Sabbath and feasts, to defile the sanctuary and the priests, to build altars and sacrifice sacred precincts and shrines for idols, to sacrifice swan and unclean animals, and to leave their sons uncircumcised. They were make themselves abominable by everything unclean and profane. All right. When you go to the book of Acts, and back into the book of Acts, let me just find it in this book. And when you get to Acts, let's go to find Acts. Six and 1. Okay. Okay. Acts 6 and 1. Ooh, it just says it. Now, wow. It says, "Now in these days, when the disciples were increased in number, the Hellenists murmured against the Hebrews." It didn't say Greeks. It says the Hellenists. Matter of fact, let me bring it into... This is lovely. It actually says it. All right? Acts 6 and 1. Screenshot it and save it. "Now in these days, when the disciples were increasing in number, the Hellenists murmured against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in the daily distribution." All right? In the regular Bibles, or in the King James and many other Bibles, it says the Greeks. All right? So that's when they'll, or the Grecians. So they try to make it, and then they try to take the Greeks and then try to include every Gentile in there with them. It was a reason why it said the Grecians, because we just read how the Israelites were under the Grecian captivity and had 4 years of Hellenization. All right, just like, Jake here in America has had 400 years of being Hellenized all over again in the American way. All right, and are so far from their customs, which is why when you read the Bible and the customs of the Bible, like the actual age of marriage, being young for women and men, for that fact, and different things, laws in the Bible, sounds strange to Jake, and they get angry and get upset because why? They're cleaving on to the new Hellenistic ways. And Hellenist just means a Greek-speaking Jew when you look that word up. So when it said there was no difference between the Greek or the Jew, it was talking about Israelites who have been Hellenized, 400 years of Hellenization, of following after Zeus and Hercules and Mars and Jupiter and all this, and which all those deities that I just spoke of all started off dark complected too, until Esau changed them all. All right, change them all to be pale to look like himself. And if you do some research in history, you can find that out for yourself too. All right, that's an absolute truth. So everything that you've learned, about the Bible, it's all been a complete and total lie. All right. So yeah, this wasn't meant to be a long lesson. Just wanted to make those points. All right. So that I hope you were. You know what? Let me get one more scripture. It's on my spirit to get it. I believe it's Second Ezra, the 7th chapter. Let me get that before I close. I think it's Second Ezra, the 7th chapter. So I just did a TikTok short on the same debate. It was a bait video. I do these shorts on TikTok. Kind of stay incognito, just debate people. Then I'll do videos according, based upon the responses or the back and forth that I have with people. This is Second Ezra, I think it's 7. Let me try this. But it talks about how my son Jesus will come, or Yahushai, the proper name, after 400 years. It's either in Second Ezra, Second Ezra 7 and 28. It's 28. It says, "For my son Yahushai shall be revealed with those that be with him." All right, the 12 mainly, that they remain shall rejoice within 400 years. So it's prophesied that the Yahushai will come in 400 years. So 400 years of Hellenization of Halloween, and comparing it to a modern day of Halloween and Christmas and Easter and all these things, all these pagan things. All right, these different things that we did, not one wife. All right, Israelites always had multiple wives. It was part of our culture to have multiple wives. All right, the monogamy is not in the Bible. It's not godly. All right. You're not even supposed to be around your woman when she's unclean, meaning when she's on a period. Right? She's supposed, and we're not kingdom, so we're not really set up, to where we can do that. All right. But she's supposed to even sleep in a different house. You're supposed to have her in a whole different part of she's not supposed to really be in your dwelling. And they're not even supposed to be in the holy places. So how many women go to church when they're on their periods? See, so we're so far from our customs and our ways because we don't know. Why? Because we've been Americanized, Hellenized all over again for 400 plus years. All right. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash, Wa Abba, Babal, Kwam, Yasserala, Shalom.